What it mean to be the best? Riding foes, feeling unimpressed. Make me reminisce, throwing bows, bend the corner, set my mind up on the goal. All I know is stay down, bad, I'm the goal.
Hey, I have never seen what just happened in Boston. And I thought about it this morning. I've never seen this. A world champion starts a series at home, heavily favored both games, has 20-point leads in both games, and not only loses, had no guts at the end. The champ's supposed to have a champion's confidence. I find the Celtics, honestly, after last night, hard to root for. So let's now focus on Jayson Tatum. Can we finally put this to bed? He's the face of the league. Thank God we can stop arguing about that. But remember this. Do you remember during the Olympics when Steve Kerr, I don't know, I think he knows a little more basketball than me and you. Steve Kerr wouldn't play Tatum. And Boston Southie was really upset. Chowda, what is wrong with Kerr? He knows more basketball than you. Sully, he does. And they wouldn't play him. And this is why. Ability without aggression. He wanted closers. If you can't play for Boston in clutch moments, you're not going to play for the country. This is what Steve Kerr saw. 2 of his last 3 shots were fallaways. Because I think at his core, he has to be convinced to be aggressive. There was a moment at the end of the game when Tatum drove in, 18 seconds left, gave Boston a lead, dunked it. And my reaction was, whoa, well, that was aggressive. Because he never does that. I mean, it was like, oh, wow, it was off-brand. I mean, he's 6'8", long and athletic, can beat guys off the dribble all night. Do it. Last night was somebody swatting chalk out of Goodwill Hunting's hand.
Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now there ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now there ain't no debate. Yeah. I ain't gotta say much. Know the boy got a touch. Another win for the rush. Another win for the rush. See me once and got a crush. See you twice and that's enough. Get the ring sized up and that's for the championship. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You just found it. Intercourse with you. Let's chat. Welcome to the Intercourse Show. I am your host, Mr. B. Today we have a very exciting show for you. We are discussing a bit of basketball. Yes, for those who's not following, the NBA playoffs are in full effect. And so far, we have transitioned to the second round. And the team on the East Coast that is playing is the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. Unfortunately, the Celtics are underperforming despite being a heavily favored team by all of Las Vegas. These guys have lost 2 games in which they led by over 20 points within the late third quarter, early fourth quarter. For some reason, they feel like shooting 45 threes and hitting 10 of them is the path to success. And I'm seeing a lot of areas where they are not being well coached and they don't have any leadership to settle themselves down. The Celtics had home court advantage and they blew 2 games that they should have won. To me, despite the fact that they are the defending champions, you don't lose basketball games by settling for 3 points, not running plays, and not being coached well. A team like the Knicks being an underdog, coming back and beating you in your home floor after trailing by 20 points and being dominated for 3 of the 4 quarters is a shame. Now, it seems like I'm not the only person who shares this sentiment. As an avid Celtics fan, I want to see them prosper and continue to succeed. But despite being a talented squad with a good bench, good defense, and who are fairly coached fairly well, you can blow games and throw games away. Sometimes it's not about being the most talented, but it's about being the most equipped and the most disciplined. Look at the series that took place between Houston and the Warriors. Houston is the younger team. They're a well-coached team. They had a better record as they were the 2nd seed in the Western conference, yet they lost to an older Warriors team who are more experienced and more skilled and more disciplined and better coached. In a game where everything matters, you can blow it or you can make it happen. But it requires discipline, good coaching, and talent. With that said, let's jump right into the show where other people share a similar sentiment. Here's Colin Cowherd calling out Jayson Tatum for not being a leader on the team, despite being the highest paid player of the team, the franchise player of the team. He is not demonstrating the leadership skills that it takes to take his team over the hump, to settle his guys down and to do things the right way. So let's jump right into it.
I have never seen what just happened in Boston. And I thought about it this morning. I've never seen this. A world champion starts a series at home, heavily favored both games, has 20-point leads in both games, and not only loses, had no guts at the end. The champ's supposed to have a champion's confidence. I find the Celtics, honestly, after last night, hard to root for. All they are now is a math formula. 3-pointers regardless. And last night, to me, was not just a win for the Knicks. It was a win for Manalytics, which is my term. It's a little analytics, but it's about men and resilience and grit and toughness and not being nervous Nelly in the clutch. This isn't just about the Celtics. Mikal Bridges and OG on the wing are dudes. Brunson and Josh Hart, classic Villanova overachievers who, again, are never rattled in the moment. They're playing, the double big lineup. This is not just about the Celtics, but they are the world champions. So that's the primary focus today. And I know what I said. The Knicks are not going to win another game. I know it. But watching the Celtics collapse, you know what I thought about? The math nerds will not take over our sport. The basketball gods are pushing back. Wall Street, AI, tech, it's all being taken over by analytics. Can we just have our basketball?
It's a fact.
Boston missed 75 threes in the last 2 games. By the way, 11 for 11 on dunks. How about a few more of those? I found myself at the end sort of enjoying the collapse. These scrappy, tough, resilient, stayed in college Villanova guys, and that's what the Knicks are. They're Villanova professionally. And ironically, the only bucket the Celtics hit in the last 8 minutes at home with a deeper, better roster was a dunk. Remember those? Used to have those. That was it. So when they went away from analytics, they actually scored. So Boston completely earned last night. And again, you got to give New York credit. And I think it's a real thing. There's a term in the NBA, Villanova guys. Bridges and Brunson and Hart, they stay in school. They had to play defense, mostly from the Northeast. Tough guys, been around big cities, recruited out of D.C. It could be New York. It could be Boston. They're never afraid of the moment. And so let's not just hammer on the Celtics. A lot of this is just the Knicks being a team that never quits. I mean, the Villanova with Jay Wright, they didn't have 5-star guys. They had 3-star guys. Calipari had the 5-star guys, the one-and-done guys. So, sometimes I'm sitting there watching it. I always said playoff basketball, to me, has always been one thing. Actually, 2 things, but one thing really. Get a bucket, get a stop. That's really it. We talked about this yesterday. The crowd's going crazy. New York, just go get a bucket. Maybe it's 2 free throws. Go get a bucket, go get a stop. And it's like sometimes watching the Celtics and all their analytics go down the drain. It's like sometimes it is funny to watch the math nerd get his pants pulled down. And that's what happened last night. That's what happened last night. And I'm going to say this. Give the Knicks credit, and I don't use this term much. That is an all-time choke. I'll give you one. I'll give you the first game because you dominated the Knicks all year. You got sloppy, and the Knicks are a good team. I'll give you the first. That's not a choke. You lost a lead. It's a little embarrassing. Last night's a choke. That is a full-on choke. This team, by the way, Boston, 11 for 11 on dunk attempts. You want to try those. The closer closer they get to the basket, the more they make their shots. Here was Josh Hart after.
I don't think we even know what we're capable of. I think we have to continue to build. I think we have to put together a full game. And I think that's something that we haven't done during the course of this playoffs. Continuing to get better. No one else is worried about that? And figuring out a way to put together a full 48-minute game.
So let's now focus on Jayson Tatum. Can we finally put this to bed? He's the face of the league. Thank God we can stop arguing about that. But remember this. Do you remember during the Olympics when Steve Kerr, I don't know, I think he knows a little more basketball than me and you. Steve Kerr wouldn't play Tatum. And Boston Southie was really upset. Chowda. What is wrong with Kerr? He knows more basketball than you. Sully, he does. And they wouldn't play him. And this is why. Ability without aggression. He wanted closers. If you can't play for Boston in clutch moments, you're not going to play for the country. This is what Steve Kerr saw. 2 of his last 3 shots were followaways. Because I think at his core, he has to be convinced to be aggressive. There was a moment at the end of the game when Tatum drove in, 18 seconds left, gave Boston a lead, dunked it. And my reaction was, whoa, well, that was aggressive. Because he never does that. I mean, it was like, oh, wow, it was off-brand. I mean, he's 6'8", long and athletic, can beat guys off the dribble all night. Do it. Last night was somebody swatting chalk out of Goodwill Hunting's hand. And Tatum is really what's ironic here, juxtaposed with Brunson. He's the anti-Brunson. Brunson is work boots. And Tatum is leather loafers. And if it's a little drizzly outside, best not wear them. I'm serious.
Truth.
Everything about Tatum. Tatum gets anxious. He looks a little nervous. He's a bit passive. He's indecisive. He's unbelievably talented. Brunson's pretty talented. Tough as nails. All grit. Villanova tough. Like they're like opposite players. One guy is just put on the work boots, head down, don't need marketing. Never forget Jalen Brunson, and you do not see this in the NBA much. Jalen Brunson's like, I'll take a little less money. I want to play with my guys. That is so Villanova. You know, Villanova, you go to Villanova, class is hard. You play defense. It's not one and done. Even with NIL, they're not going to pay you the most. Villanova is a culture. It's not just the name of a university. And that's what the Knicks play like. That's why they're so easy to root for. Like, not all New York teams are easy to root for. I get people that don't like the Yankees and the payroll. The Knicks are fun. And Brunson is the anti-Tatum. And Celtic fans know it. You could hear them early in the game getting uncomfortable. And I'm not an anti-Tatum guy. But for when I was saying this during the Olympics, I get it. A DNP coach's decision. When I've been saying this face of the league stuff, it's like I have defended the passive nature of Tatum. But, man, there's a reason everybody loves MJ. I mean, there is a reason. 6 for 6. He punched Steve Kerr. There's a reason why Kerr loves Draymond Green, who's limited athletically, who's limited offensively, but gives you everything, relentless. And so I thought it was fitting last night as they were collapsing. I'm like, it's the perfect team and guy to collapse to. The Knicks, the less talented Villanova of pro basketball, resilient, tough. They go into your place. I'm looking at this. Clutch time numbers between Brunson and Tatum. I won't waste your time on all of these. Forget the fact Brunson's got twice as many points. Brunson's plus 18. Tatum's minus 16. Tatum's hurting his team. Brunson is sometimes exhausted, sometimes defensively gets, abused a little because of his lack of size, but he is never a detriment. Somewhere on the floor, Jalen Brunson's making your team better. Here's the Celtics coach after the collapse.
I think game one wasn't inefficient as I thought. You just missed some really good looks. I thought today he passed up some ones that he was able to take. And so, their switchability, their ability to impact shifts definitely impacted him tonight. So, yeah, I thought he missed some easy layups in the beginning of the game. I thought he missed a couple there in the third quarter, but yeah, I mean, they do a good. OG Anunoby's a good individual defender, and they have good shifts and help behind.
Boston could have blown both these games to Indiana, and it wouldn't feel the same. And it's not just a Boston-New York thing. That's not it. It's the culture of the Knicks, which is, man, get a stop, get a bucket. Brunson, less money against analytics. It's who you're losing to, how you're losing, and the star of New York is the anti-Tatum, to me, at least emotionally. So, J-Mac, I thought of you on as I was watching this game with friends, sitting around a table with friends. Yeah. I kept thinking you were next door to place,
Yes.
eating,
I want to interject right here on the points that Colin has made so far. He is 1,000% correct about everything he said. The game of basketball has shifted from being about hard work, effort, grind, struggle, blood, sweat, tears, to analytics. Somebody somewhere is crunching numbers and saying the probability of shooting more threes and making them makes the game better. So the rules, the structure, the culture of the game has evolved to one that is more offensive, that is more it caters more to shooters, it caters more to the offense and not the defense, and it diminishes the value of the game. In Michael Jordan's day, and I'm no expert, but I am a fan. I've been watching since I was a kid. In Michael Jordan's day, now you got to understand the game evolved from being a slugfest in the 70s to now what it is where guys flop and take fouls and do all the stuff they do. The guys in the 70s were playing for $3.50 a year. And these guys today, with far less to go through, taking days off, not playing a full season, load managing, make $350 million for 3, 4, 5 years of playing. The game is less enjoyable to watch because it's become one-dimensional. Anybody could chuck up threes to have a 20-point lead with 8 minutes left, 10 minutes left, 14 minutes left, a quarter left, and to shoot 40 threes and make 3 of them is bad basketball. You deserve to lose. I'm a fan, and there was a point where I was like, this team deserves to lose. This is trash. He was critical of Jayson Tatum, but I'm going to go above and beyond and be critical of the freaking coach. Joe Mazzulla, for the most part, has been a good coach because he was able to gel the talent together. And for the most part, over the span of 2 years since getting the job, he's managed it pretty well. But he's not a real coach because a real coach has to have a game plan and a philosophy and has to encourage multiple dimensions of the game. Not just the ability to shoot threes. That's called a one-dimensional team. You have to have an inside-outside game. The way the Knicks came back was not by trading 3 points with the Celtics. They came back from a 20-point deficit with a mid-range game, dunks, layups, passing the ball, running plays, and some occasional threes. They went on a 34-point run where they went from being down 20 to up 7. Basketball is more than just shooting threes. That's lazy basketball. All I saw with the Celtics was a lot of isolation play. They burned no time off the clock. Guy comes down, everybody standing around the perimeter, including a 7'2" center in Porzingis. There's no play setup. There's no movement without the ball. There's no screens. There's no design play. There's no effort. Just a guy coming down the court, isolating himself. The Knicks come and play help defense. Then they're jumping and throwing the ball and turning the ball over, or they're taking a bad, ill-advised shot, or they're just chucking up a three. All of which is bad basketball. I could understand, like Colin said, the first game, you get it, you were sloppy. For it to happen 2 times in 2 consecutive games as a championship team, you don't deserve to win the game. I'm a Celtics fan. They didn't deserve to win the game. And honestly, if they continue to play like that, they don't deserve to win another game. That's trash. It's bad basketball. To his point, the analytics stuff, if that's all you go by when it comes to winning basketball games, you are done. The Warriors won their series against a more talented Houston team because they weren't relying on analytics and chucking up threes the whole time. They moved the ball. The other day, Steve Kerr pulled an upset in a game 7 with far less talent on the court. Just recently, they won a game against Minnesota, rotating 14 players off the bench after their star player goes down with a hamstring injury. They still won. How did Steve Kerr do that? Older guys, less talented, less size, playing YMCA basketball players, third string guys in his rotation, they win the game. How the hell did he do that? Coaching, call timeouts, stop momentum, kept guys fresh, build the confidence of some of the lesser skilled players, gave them minutes, kept a veteran guy out there in Draymond Green, older guy, less talented, Jimmy Butler, skilled guy, super tired, drained, playing tough after coming back from an injury. And then a bunch of, fill-in players. They won against Anthony Edwards. The guy that the Knicks traded over there. I forget his name. These are star players, big money, big ticket players. They won because they understand the fundamentals of basketball. Basketball is more than just shooting threes. Michael Jordan could have made a career out of shooting threes. He was able to do that. If he wanted to shoot 63s, I'm pretty sure he would have shot it at a better percentage than most of the players now. His game was not one-dimensional. It was inside-outside, layups, dunks, ball movement, running plays. Triangle offense is a design play. I didn't see a design play in the last 2 games that the Celtics played. It's just individual talents. Some nights, your individual talent will be enough to beat the other team because you just have more talents, more guys who can put points in the game in an ISO play. But when that team decides they're going to work together as a unit and their team will come against your individual players and they're not going to give you nothing easy, your individual talent is trumped by teamwork, effort, grit, wanting it more. This guy is spot on with his criticism of Jayson Tatum being the star player of the team. But I will even go a step ahead and say Joe Mazzulla, a guy who is generally tough. He teaches his guys to be gritty and tough. He did a horrible job as a coach. I feel like more of the criticism falls on him. Because at some point, if I was him, I would have called a timeout and I would have yelled and fucking screamed at the top of my lungs to every one of those so-called big-ticket players on the Boston Celtics. These guys are about to be over the salary cap by like $70 million. You're $70 million over the salary cap for a bunch of guys who are talented, but who don't want to do shit beyond the third quarter. They rather settle for threes. They don't want to run a design play. They don't give a fuck. Why and how could I justify paying over $70 million over the cap for a bunch of guys who's willing to let a lesser team embarrass them on their home floor during a playoff game? That's trash. And if you don't have a coach who takes any sense of integrity to say this is some bullshit, if you motherfuckers don't want to play, sit your butts down. We're going to put somebody else in the game. I don't see any effort here. Shooting threes can't be your only strategy to winning. Yes, you got talented guys who can make them, but when they're not making them, it doesn't take 40 threes for you to realize maybe we need to draw up a fucking play. Maybe we need to wear town down on the clock. Maybe we need to move the ball around and not just isolate for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, the team is coming down the court and scoring twos, layups, getting fouled, shooting threes, beating you with fundamentals inside and outside. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Flat out. As a fan of the game, as a fan of this team, unacceptable. And these are guys who ought to know better. They ought to try. They ought to do better. But they don't. That's what happens when you're making $50 million a year. You can throw in the towel whenever you want to.
At high-end sirloin.
All right.
And I kept thinking, he is having the time of his life. It was the place I was at. And again, it's L.A., so nobody likes Boston, but a lot of people in L.A. don't like New York either. It was just wild to watch people's reaction. It was like the Celtics are collapsing in front of us, and they just kept hoisting up these awful shots.
Yeah, I'm looking at the numbers here. I know you crushed Tatum, and I get that. I will point out Celtics starters, 2 for 18 in the fourth quarter shooting. This is not only on Tatum.
No, it's not.
I'm surprised Joe Mazzulla escaped your opening rant here, because I don't know that he's going to survive the next 3 weeks. He's going to be fired.
Remember, if you're talking about face of the league, I don't care about Peyton Pritchard or Al Horford. Yeah. I don't care about Jaylen Brown. This is somebody that's the face of the league, and the team defends him when commentators are critical and everybody rushes to his defense. Okay. But then you got to, on fourth down, make the easy throw.
And here's the numbers on the screen. Tatum, fourth quarter and overtime. Not great. Obviously, not outstanding.
By the way, the critics, myself included, have always said he's a top 8 player.
I would go higher than that, but
I would not.
We have an 82-game sample size of Jayson Tatum for 4 straight years being first-team All-NBA.
Yeah.
82 games times 4. Oh, and he's been bad in 2 games. Like, I know you can't overreact.
That's not fair. He has been suspect throughout his career on a fairly regular basis in these moments.
I mean, last series against Orlando, he averaged like 31.
Okay, nobody cares about Orlando.
Fine. In the finals last year, he had 2 games of 31 points in the finals against the Mavs.
Is it a 2-game series?
2 out of the 5, he went.
I watched them against Golden State wilt.
Yeah, that was a tough one. His first.
When you say Jayson Tatum, if you say, what is your knock on Jayson Tatum? Everybody has the same knock. Don't trust him late.
Oh.
Sorry.
I get it. There's some evidence of that. He's also had some big game 7s. I think he had 51 in a game 6 against Milwaukee.
There's plenty of Boston reporters to tell you how mean we are, but it is really, when you put him against Brunson, they are opposite players.
You remember when they got Bridges, the Knicks? I was like, they match up great with Boston. and then it didn't bear out in the regular season. It has in the postseason.
I'll throw this
OG
at you.
And
why is it working in the postseason and it didn't in the regular season? This is my theory: is New York's a more physical team, and the NBA decides, look at how the physical teams. By the way, the Warriors defensively are physical. Yep. The T-Wolves against the Lakers were more physical. Mm-hmm. New York, even at practice, they're a more physical team than Boston. Boston's pretty. Boston's outside. Boston doesn't get to the free throw line. New York is in football terms, one of them is a passing offense, one of them is a run game. So the Knicks, as the NBA allows you to play in the postseason and get physical, I'm watching the first game and I'm like, oh, it's a blip. Yeah. But last night you're like, oh, this team's got a fullback. This team has double tight ends. They're playing double bigs.
I like how you referenced that Tatum dunk where he drove and you're like, oh, wow, that was spectacular. Watch Mitchell Robinson on that play. He was up way too far by the three-point line. Tatum dusted him. So on the next play, the game ending, Mitchell Robinson drops back. He's like, I'm conceding the jumper. And Tatum, he just kind of wilted there at the end. That was a tough one.
It's one thing to miss a final shot, but two of his last three shots were fallaways on the baseline.
How about Mikal Bridges? Game one, ripped the ball out of Jaylen Brown's hands at the end. Game two, blocks Tatum's pass. He's great.
No, we all loved Mikal Bridges to the Knicks. We all said, okay, they finally have their wing defender who can give you 20 points on any night.
Knicks in the finals would be really good for the league, huh?
I commend Colin Cowherd for his take. Spot on. The Celtics are better than they're showing right now, especially Jaylen Brown, the MVP of last year's finals. He needs to get the shit going. We need a leader on that team. Drew Holiday, who's been on multiple championship teams, needs to step up and actually be a point guard and actually direct traffic and actually call guys out. Or else you're going to lose. Point blank, period. You're going to lose. Joe Mazzulla will lose his job because it's a damn embarrassment. And there's a lot of people who's betting on these games, your favorites. People are losing money on the fact that you guys dominate for 3 quarters and then wilt on the 4th. That's trash. You guys are better than that. Live up to it. That's my take, Mr. B, with the Intercourse Show. I invite you guys who are not connected to the show to like and subscribe and share the video. Comment. We want to hear what you got to say about it. Maybe I got it wrong. I don't think so. But maybe I do. Maybe you got a different point of view. Maybe there's excuses that people can make for how a championship team gives 2 games away the same exact way twice. Maybe there's some counter arguments what I'm saying to what he's saying. I'd love to hear it. That being said, share it with us. And definitely, we wish you all, this is basketball's commentary. It's nothing personal. Just criticizing guys who are better than Nick shown to step up and be who they are. Wishing you guys the best. Until the next conversation, choose Jesus. Make him the Lord and Savior over your life. And you be well. God bless. We out.
I ain't gotta say much. Know the boy got a touch. Another win for the rush. Another win for the rush. See me once and got a crush. See you twice and that's enough. Get the ring sized up. And that's for the championship. Yeah, I dropped in. Feeling like I need a top 10. Clean sweep, get the mop in. No roof, yeah, I hopped in. Champagne spraying, popped in. Popped in, popped in. Paramedics on the speed dial. Turn the party to a mosh pit. Locked in. Supreme confidence, can't do broken promises. You can't talk the way I talk when you ain't got no accomplishments. On top taking up space, ain't no room for occupants. Always knew I had to glow, ain't no chance of blocking it. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now it ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now it ain't no debate. Yeah, I dropped in, feeling like I need a top 10. Clean sweep, get the mop in. No roof, yeah, I hopped in. Champagne spraying, popped in. Popped in, popped in. Paramedics on the speed dial. Turn the party to a mosh pit. Locked in. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now it ain't no debate. Yeah. Okay, feel like the best, the great. Now it ain't no debate. Yeah.